Okay, so as a quick reminder, I have a rebirth ceremony coming up on August 8th, and I do rebirth ceremony every 3 years. And this year's rebirth ceremony, its theme is a journey of humanity and its relationship with technology. And in this video, I am going to go over the first song/dance, because it's a dance ceremony, and I'll give a quick introduction into what the dance is supposed to be about. I'll talk about how I compose the music, and then I'll finish off with a little bit of choreography for those of you that will participate in it. Now, the first song/dance is, at the primordial state of the human journey. This is where humanity is umbilically connected to Mother Earth. And the way I visualize this is that at this stage of the human journey, humanity is still in a meditative, embryonic, womb-like state. This is before language exists. This is before consciousness exists. This is even before humanity has a distinct identity. This is right at the interface of life and death in the cycles of energy. And at this time, the emotions that I feel, that I think are at that point, at this time the emotions are complex, they're intertwined, and they're amorphous, where diametrically opposite emotions coexist together, like pain and pleasure, like happiness and sadness. So I'm going to talk to you about now 3 inspirations that help me develop sort of the visualization of this primordial human state. And the first represents life. And this was baby robins. And there were these eggs that were, laid in a robin's nest, and I looked at them every single day, and I really developed an emotional bond with them. And then came the special day when they hatched. And when I looked at them, this miracle of life, what I saw, was sort of a nightmarish, almost looking blob of flesh. Their eyes were totally shut, and they would squirm around as if they were in a tortured state. And yet, as I said, they were a miracle of life. And then sadly, they were torn apart by a predator like a week later. But that sort of life and how it's not just beautiful fluffy clouds, but has this tortured element to it, reminded me of this primordial state of the human. My second inspiration is my grandmother. And my grandmother is in the final stage of aging, and she has given me a lot of my spiritual training. Her every moment is the same repeating moment on her bed. And she is ultimately detached from life because she cannot hear anything. She can't really get sensory stimulus from the world around her, and she's perpetually tired. And she's completely contained in her own mind, and she rocks back and forth in this fetal position every day, every second, every moment. And to me, it seems like she's in a tortured state, but often when I ask her, she says that she's not in any pain, that she is content and in some form of peace. And to me, these are my words, what I'll say next, but they derive from what she said, which is that she's synchronized with the larger river of divinity and spirituality that flows all around her. And I find great sadness, and I find great beauty in that, and I find great wisdom in that. So my third inspiration for this visualization of the primordial state of the human is someone that I knew, and she recently passed away. And my memory of her is when I interacted with her was when she was just an infant. And at that time I would play music on the guitar or on the piano, and I would look at her face, and it would display these complex emotions. They were pure emotions, and they were unfiltered emotions, straight from her soul. And they were like weather patterns that would change from one to the other. And I found, great beauty in that. Okay, so for this song, I wanted a meditative, womb-like feeling. But how to do that? And so I found this just randomly song on YouTube, okay? And I felt like it brought me into a meditative state. And what it was Radiohead's Pyramid Song. But what someone had done is they stretched it out by 800%. And it just, I felt that there was a lot of depth and complexity by stretching out these chord transitions. And so now the question was, what chord structure should I use? And for me, the last 10 years, for whatever reason, I have been extremely obsessed with C sharp minor, okay? And actually this song is a variant of that. So I start off with F sharp minor, and then I want complex chords as I transition into G sharp major. And the complex chords, again, give the feeling that all of these emotions are mixed together. And I hold down the sustain pedal for the whole thing because I also want that feeling of just mixture and everything just echoing into everything else, everything merging into everything else. Now, for the percussion of this song, what I did was last year I went on my birthday on a spirit run, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I recorded my breath and I recorded my footsteps, and that's the percussion of this song. And in a way, for me, running represents the state of the human. It's ambivalent. When I'm running, I feel this tortured sense of pain, like I want to stop. At the same time, I feel the brilliance of triumphant perseverance. And what's really fascinating is that sometimes in an hour-long run, if I'm lucky, not even all the time, sometimes I get 1 second, just one brief second where I feel completely merged with the environment. And I kind of feel like it's my purest state of meditation. Also the slow moving chord changes contrast with the fast breathing that I have, representing the paradoxical nature of time, sometimes feeling both slow and fast. And then at certain moments, and I don't know, most likely you won't be able to hear it, but at certain moments there's this very high frequency breathing. And that is the breath of Her Royal Majesty Queen Herpes I. It was my pet rat. And sadly as she was passing away, it was respiratory issues, so she essentially suffocated. And so I recorded her breathing. And again, that represents this feeling of life and death and that struggle. Alright, so for the dance choreography, long story short, there is no choreography. Because this song exists during humanity's journey, before language, before thought. So the most important thing is your mental state, to be merged with the music. And inevitably, language and thoughts are going to bubble up, and like any sort of mindful or meditative practice, you acknowledge them, you gently push them away, and then you sort of submerge yourself back into the primordial state. Now I am going to start this in a fetal position, and I'll actually be on the ground in a fetal position, but you could start it while sitting on the chair. The other thing I want to say is that try to inwardly generate these complex emotions and have them manifest as very nuanced changes in your face. Not extreme changes, but nuanced. Let me give an example. So again, you don't have to do that. It's just something that allows me to get into the zone. The other thing is that during the actual video that I'm going to show next, I'm going to give you some prompts. I won't give this during the ceremony, but these are just examples of breathing that really helps me. And what I'll say is exhale and hold, and what all that means is you exhale and then don't inhale, and then maybe a second later I'll say inhale, and then you let that flush of air come in. And then after that you can breathe as you like. And I usually do that at chord transitions in the music. The final thing is any sort of movement you want to do, perhaps you can get inspired by the videos that I'll show. And there'll be videos of these baby robins and of my grandmother sort of rocking. And if you want to use that, go ahead. Okay, awesome. Exhale and hold. Inhale. Exhale and hold. Inhale. Exhale and hold. Inhale. Inhale.